Welcome to episode 4 of Beyond Drumming. Today, we're going to talk about what makes a good drummer to us. And some of the things we're going to talk about too were influences that we had early on, and then what we look for as we're scrolling through different videos on social media. So let's start with you, Julian. Let's say the top three influences you had and why.
Also, I guess I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to put it number one is going to be Mario Duplantier from Gojira. Just because like he can do all that like blisteringly fast stuff, but he incorporates other styles into his metal drumming, and like rhythmically he's just so on lockdown, and he's just super creative in the genre where like it's a genre that can get kind of stagnant because it's like everybody does like groups of 6 around the kid all the time, so it can be very stagnant. So I would say he would be my number one, and then I would say next would be Abe Cunningham from the Deftones, definitely, because he's very hip-hop influenced. I set my kit up just like the way he sets his kit up because I found it's the most comfortable setup for me. So that's like a huge influence on the way, like I've been setting up my kit like this for almost the majority of my playing time. I've mucked around, but anyway. And lastly would be Questlove from The Roots and from the Tonight Show band with Jimmy Fallon. I just find him to be super tight, super simple, doesn't get flashy, doesn't need to be flashy.
Pretty diverse, going from heavy metal drummers and then ending with Questlove.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
I mean, you've seen the stuff I've been turning out lately, right? So I've been more influenced by hip hop, and it's a part of my playing that I've just kind of like always shied away from, but always really enjoyed. I guess never felt confident doing, but now said forget it and just really enjoy doing it.
Cool. Ray, how about you?
Mine varies. So my list isn't gonna be like super old drummers, just simply because I just started a couple of years ago, so I don't have the time under my belt. It's just kind of based off of drummers I found recently in the past couple of years. Key player that I really enjoy watching, listening to, and learning from is Stanton Moore. Just a super cool style.
Yeah,
a lot different than most of anything that you hear. Kind of like that, Louisiana style swing mixed with like jazz and everything else he does. It's really cool. Another kind of probably unknown around most parts is Paul Boogie Edwards. He's a DC go-go drummer. I don't know if you've heard the DC go-go.
He strip while he plays? Is that what that means?
But it is a very, very funky, just swung beat. I mean, you can't just help but to just bob your head anytime you hear it, and you could just do it for hours and hours. Now, playing that beat is a little bit more difficult than bobbing your head to it, but definitely a cool beat. And then thirdly, actually just a local YouTube for most of us is Rob Brown.
Ooh, from Toronto.
Beatdown. I came across
Beat
him
Down Brown,
when
man.
I first started playing. He was one of the first videos that I clicked on YouTube. And the thing I like so much about him is not that he's, a player that, everybody knows as far as like in a band or something. He's so well spoken. He's able to explain to you how to drum, like what he's trying to get across. He can play it and then explain exactly how he played it so that you can do the same thing. And that means a lot when it comes to learning drums and teaching drums and being able to play it too. So a lot of people can play great, can't teach worth of shit. Some people can teach great, but can't actually play. So he's got a kind of a good overall mix. What about you, Steve?
Excuse me. I'm a little older. I go into my first is going to be John Bonham. I mean, John Bonham, Led Zeppelin, um, power. He had groove feel, played behind the beat a lot, and his right foot was really something that caught my ear at a young age. Then I would say Neil Peart, obviously at Rush, because he just did things at that time that you really weren't hearing a lot. With the odd time signatures and playing them in a way that they didn't really feel like they were in odd time signatures. And then I'm going to say Dave Weckl, because Dave Weckl was the first guy I really took notice of that wasn't in a rock genre per se, that had all this technical facility and really made me realize how little I knew about drumming and the possibilities of what was out there, and the way his musicality, his control, just so all three of them for different reasons, and apparently none of it's rubbed off on me from all three of them. So, all right, so Ray, let's talk about this. Like, we all look at our social media platforms every day. What makes a good drummer do? What makes you stop as you're scrolling to actually watch a video that somebody's put up?
Outside of knowing who I'm seeing, I mean, because obviously we see a lot of repetitive things on our feed, just due to the algorithms and stuff. Usually, what catches my ear, not so much my eye. So like a groove, a song, a particular rhythm. That's usually what'll make me stop. Or if I just see somebody like kind of like really looking like they're getting into something, like, oh shit, I want to hear what they're playing. So just stuff that's really attention grabbing, or what you feel like is stuff I can feel, or a cute chick. That'll make me stop. Any female drummer, like, I'm stopping. Let me check that out. So, but that's everybody. Let's be honest. We've all.
I'm gonna tell you that might have been me before, but that ain't me anymore. They better be playing something of interest before I stop, because I don't care if it's a supermodel playing drums. If I'm hearing
they can't all
someone,
play.
if they can't play and they look great but they're not playing, I'm not stopping just out of principle.
I didn't say I stayed. You said what made you stop.
So, Julian, what do you have to say to that?
I would say usually, like, I stop and look at a lot of different drummers. It's not really anything in particular. Mostly if I see good production, like if I see like a nice studio in the like screen caption or whatever, the quick like loading on Instagram is usually somewhere where I'll stop and maybe take it seriously. Also just like players I know that like I like to listen to. Yeah, like stuff like that. I don't usually stop and look at anything that has a gimmick behind it. I don't really care. Just not really my thing. I understand it, I appreciate it, and I respect it. It's not for me. I'm just more about, I want to see who's like trying to do interesting things in the game, especially because like nowadays anybody and everybody can record, and from any location. It's insane. I've seen people do records outside, like just like crazy stuff. So nowadays everybody's releasing stuff, so there's a large saturation too. So I think that's also a big thing. Not even just because of COVID, just like even like leading up to COVID, from like since Instagram and social media has become popular, I feel like it's given a voice to everybody.
Well, I ask both of you guys. What about you go? We all see this every day. You go on, and the first thing you see is you see someone doing all these ballistic chops. I mean, what does that do?
Over chops. I actually skip past chops. I don't care. I just don't. I'm sorry. You're playing a lot of rudiments really fast. Awesome. I can't groove to it.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't care.
I like when it gets interesting if they do like stuff where like it goes in and out of the song, maybe like kind of gets choppy in between. They might do a small section, maybe like 4 bars, whatever, 6 bars, like real quick.
Yeah.
Something not like super like that doesn't overtake the song. Like that's the time where like chops are okay for me. But for the most part, like I'm with Ray on this one. I could care less. I don't really. It doesn't really do anything for me. I mean, it almost gets a little disheartening at times watching it because it's like, oh, can I do that?
Right. You know, it's become so overdone, and they're all very similar sounding. I don't know if they're considered gospel chops or along that genre, but after you've seen you see 4 or 5 guys, they all sound very similar to me, and I lose interest in them. I'd much rather hear a real good groove, but like we talked about like 2 weeks ago, right? We said just a little snippet of chops is great. Maybe a cool fill or something.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. But then go back to something that's feeling pretty good to listen to.
Well, that's like that go-go I was talking about. If you guys have a chance to go check out Paul Buggy Edwards, DC Go-Go, he'll just be in that super nice pocket and then throw in a chop, and you're just, what just happened? Because it's not expected. Now, if you just start your song off just all over the place, like, well, what the fuck? I don't even know what the song is. Like, where's our groove?
Right.
Where are we starting? You got to have a starting point, and then throw a little sauce on it. You know, that's how it works.
Yeah. Got to warm up the frying pan before you throw the meat in there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know, I think that with some of these chops and stuff like that, they're trying to find this memorable thing, right? You know what I mean? Like, think about Everybody Knows In the Air Tonight, right? The do 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 do, right? Everybody knows that, and I feel like there's a lot of those memorable parts in a lot of older stuff, and nowadays it's not as memorable. It doesn't stick with you, and I think like guys are trying to do all these crazy chop things because they're hoping, oh, you know, maybe they can't come up with that memorable melodic drum part, but they'll come up with something so crazy that people remember them just solely on that aspect of things.
But I'm not gonna remember something like that. Like I'm not.
I'm trying to come from like maybe their perspective where they think
Right.
you know what I mean?
I
Like,
think her perspective is just simply, hey, I'm going to get your attention one way. I'm going to make you listen to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But then again, if the genre calls for it, where I think gospel kind of seems to be the gospel calls for those fill breaks all the time, kind of playing over what's going on. That's a little different if it's acceptable for the genre of music.
most people aren't used to that if you're not in like the drumming community, or it's not like an everyday thing of life like for us, right? So I think when the mainstream gets hit with something like that, it makes people more inclined to be like, oh, that's more interesting.
I don't feel like that was chops though. He still had a groove to that though. I mean,
The groove is pretty sick.
I see where you're coming from, but we're talking chops that really don't go with anything. Just as much stuff as you can do.
True.
I think is where that was leaning towards, right, Steve? I'm guessing.
Oh, I mean, right. I mean, nowadays when you go down and the guy or girl's video just starts with a bunch of 30-second note triplets or some kind of like. I mean, I've seen it so many videos have been exactly the same intro that I'm like, next. You know, I like the groove because that's what's going to make me do this. You know, shake my head to it.
Right, move your butt.
Move your butt. Yeah,
that's it.
You know, thanks for everybody for joining us. Look forward to seeing you in episode 5.
Like and subscribe the video. Subscribe to everybody's channel. We'll put all the links down below. Check us out on Instagram.
Thanks, guys. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. If you have any comments or any suggestions, drop them below. Till next week. See you guys.
Peace.